to watch him do phenomenal in his preseason games. He was perfect with all 49 pass reps that he had because he's got good feet, good hands, and good eyes because he played basketball. So
there you go.
And then to now see him, win a Super Bowl, and I'm like, look at my guy go.
Welcome back to another episode of Georgeonsports with me, your host George, and joining me on today's show is none other than Coach Ashley Cornwell, defensive assistant for the Bucknell University with the Bucknell Bisons. Ash, if I can call you Ash. In fact, we're not going to go Ash. We're going to go Coach.
It's Coach Ash.
We're going to go Coach Ash. How are you? And thank you for joining the show.
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited. Because as I said before I hit record, your experience is vast. You have done so many things, you've reached so many places, and you've worked with so many different people. If I'm not incorrect, I believe it's your 8th or 9th year in coaching now.
Yeah,
8th. There we go. I want to go all the way back, though. I want to take it all the way back. This is what I do with my guests. I want to find out about why, where, and how this all started. So talk to me about your introduction to the sport itself, because from what I've worked out, it seems like there's nothing more you'd rather do than coach.
Right. Absolutely, 100%. So when I was really young, my introduction to football was through flag football. So I was from a really small town, and everything was co-ed. So there's a lot of girls and boys that played flag football together. Got a little bit into tackling. And then in high school, I couldn't play football anymore. So that's where I got into coaching. And that's kind of where everything just took off for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear you talk about your introduction to the sport with flag football, because as you know very well,
blowing up.
That's right. I mean, LA Olympics 2028, flag football is making a lot of noise right now, and rightly so. So it's actually quite refreshing to hear you say that you discovered the sport through flag, which is pretty cool, to be honest. But I want to dive into your coaching side of things, which I believe began at Wisconsin as a wide receiver and specialist coach. I believe that's correct?
Close. I was at Reedsburg. No, you're good. You're good. I've been so many places, and I have coached a lot of positions, so sometimes it's hard to keep track. So when I was in Reedsburg, I worked with wide receivers and specialists, so that was during high school.
Right.
When I was at Wisconsin, it was special teams, tight ends, running backs, and O-line. And then my last year, it was just D-line. So that's a lot to remember.
To be fair, I will say, when I did, and I like to pride myself on research because I love to ask good questions, and I did find it, I was like, you know what? Coach has done so much, and a lot of them kind of like interlap, they interconnect. And you mentioned one there about Wisconsin, because you obviously had, I believe, Wisconsin Athletics, where you were there for a few years.
4
years.
That was my longest stop so far.
Yeah, that was your longest stop so far. And obviously where you talk about where you were coaching wide receivers and specialists. But you also took part in the Bill Walsh Diversity Fellowship Program, but this is with the 2 different teams. First, the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans. How did that come about? And what is the fellowship actually about?
Yeah, so the Bill Walsh is for minority football coaches, and you have to meet either coaching or playing requirements. So I did one with the Tennessee Titans and then one with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And both times it was just having a connection on staff. Went through an interview process, and then I was selected to do the fellowship.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, again, it's not, there are people who will want to do what you're doing, but it takes quite a lot to be able to get into these roles, which is why I say when I was doing my research and saw everything that you've done, it's no easy thing. You've done so much and achieved so much, which is why I have so many questions. So you obviously had the internship with the Titans. Was that your first exposure to an NFL team in terms of? Yeah.
That was pretty cool. It was a really good experience. That one was probably the shorter internship that I've taken. Tampa Bay was way longer. But I thought that was a good introduction just at the level I was at. It just allowed me to see how it functioned. I got some hands-on experience coaching NFL players. They did a good job, like just letting me do my thing. And then that helped me do a better job at the next internship that I got, and got me more connections, got me some street cred in the NFL. That's always helpful.
For sure. It's interesting you say that, because I've spoken to Erin Roberge, who is with the Packers, the first full-time female athletic trainer in the Packers history.
She was at Wisconsin.
There you go.
Isn't that crazy?
There's a connection, right? How crazy is that? There is something in those waters for sure. But it's very interesting because, again, to hear you say about the exposure to the game and getting to know the nuts and bolts and what it's like, because the way I kind of look at things, and this is one of my points for later, but it kind of works for now, is looking at what you've done. It seems like you've leveraged every opportunity to gain the next. And as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the best ways to do things. If you're trying to achieve something, if you can leverage what where you've just been to gain the next opportunity, you have something to show for it. So when you do approach these guys and these places, you can say, well, I've done this and I've done that. I'd love to join on board. On that segue.
Yeah.
The IPP program.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Now,
love it.
yeah, right. So you've had 2 separate stints, I believe. The earlier stint some years ago, because I've seen that you had last year, but you also had, you're currently with the IPP guys. Well, you were currently with the IPP guys now. Yeah, I say that because obviously Roy and Haggy, guys who are part of OC's Uprise Academy, obviously guys who are now with NFL teams and have been. So Haggy in particular is now just been signed to the Commanders, and I think Roy's still with the Giants. I'm not too sure, but
he's with
had
Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah, sorry.
The Bears. No,
Bears.
there you go. You got it. No, you got it.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about that because your coaching tree takes you along the path of offensive line. That seems to be your specialty. And I've seen a video about the towel and getting them to line up on the left to the right and the right to the left. Yeah, no, of course. I love it. I love to see when coaches, they really get stuck into the nuts and bolts and the basics of it because I never mentioned, but I played for 11 years. And I played running back. So I have insight, maybe not to NFL level, but general insight of the game. The IPP program, when you initially, how did you even end up on that program? How did you find out about it?
It's from the Bill Walsh Fellowship that I did with the Titans. So I got a good review, and I was on a short list with a few people in the league office, just like, hey, somebody keep an eye on future opportunities. So when Will and James reached out to the league office, they said, hey, we want to hire, an offensive line coach to help out with Coach Dunny, who's been leading the offensive line room ever since the IPP program came about. And I was on a short list. And I always tell this story. I don't know if James and Will find it funny. I just thought it was ironic. I told them no.
James Cook.
Yeah, it's James Cook. My bad.
He's
James
my guy, man. No, he was my quarterback, so I'll never forget that guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. I originally told them no. This is what a lot of people don't know. By the grace of God, I was not kept in a coaching position at Wisconsin. So I went back and I was like, you know what? This sounds interesting. It's new. They really seemed like they wanted me. Why not? So I called them a week before the program started. And I said, hey, are you still open to bringing me in? And thank God they said yes. So
wow.
I am so grateful that God said, no, you are going to go do that. And I did it. It was the best experience of my life by far. It's still probably going to be one of the coolest things that I've ever done as a coach.
Yeah.
I could have my own room in the NFL, and I still think the IPP, it's so unique. Like, you're getting guys from varying backgrounds.
Yeah.
So getting to work with Roy and with Chew last year, that was huge. Learning more about them. Yeah, Chew just won a Super Bowl.
Crazy.
So that was awesome to see. Both of them in their jerseys doing their thing. And, we had Marlon and we had Hector last year as well, who weren't allocated, but still learning about them and their journey, learning more about how football is growing internationally too. So that was huge. But yeah, it's the coolest thing ever because you get so many people from all over the world who have various levels of football experience. And we have this challenge of getting them NFL ready in 2.5 months. And you're with a lot of people who, the odds are stacked against you almost. It's not impossible, but there's not a whole lot of people in your corner. There's not going to be a lot of people cheering you on.
Yeah.
And I love environments where it's kind of just it's just us, us against everybody.
Yeah.
And you're doing a good thing. It's the best experience ever. So I loved it. And then this year had a bunch of phenomenal athletes.
That's what I was going to say. This year is you talk about how unique the program is. This year there's been more, I think, media attention on the IPP than I can remember since the program has come about. Obviously, this is the first year as well that punters and kickers have been brought into the IPP program, and what a bunch of kickers and punters that were on the program too. But what is it you would say, having been around these guys, you speak about the uniqueness and the level of athlete. What is it about this particular crop, the most recent crop, that really set the fire going?
It's there's I think a multitude of things. So I think specifically with the specialists that we brought in, it's kind of like there was a chip on the shoulder because it is in their DNA. I think I saw a video where one of them was like, "This is literally in our DNA. Like we kick
Yeah,
things
that's it.
for a living."
From the
So it's kind of
ground
like,
as well.
yeah, but it was also kind of just like a chip on the shoulder, like we can do it, kind of doubted, like, oh, here come the guys from Ireland, right? Like what are they gonna do? And they killed it. And it's just that it is though that instinct, that natural ability to kick things and to kick things well. And I know they heard a few things before they even went to the combine, just kind of like doubts and stuff like that. So chip on the shoulder, the drive to prove people wrong, I think that's what set a lot of those specialists apart. Like these guys, I've watched them kick, and it's insane to me because I'm like, if you would have played Division I college football, you would have been a steal for a program like Wisconsin or any high caliber SEC team. Like you would have been a steal for us. And then when you're talking about just the normal, not normal, sorry, the general positions that we have, specialists are unique in a sense because they do something completely different than what a normal football player does because they're the only ones that are really kicking things.
Right.
But getting back into like the general positions that we had, like running back, wide receiver, tight end, everyone kind of had their own story. Because Patrick, I think of Patrick Murtaugh, he's unique because he was there last year. He actually got to a team and then missed out on the opportunity due to something that he could fix, but it just wasn't going to be in the time needed to stay with the team.
Okay.
So like he saw his name on a locker. That always stood out to me. Imagine making it your name's on the locker and then the next day you got to go back to Australia. So his chip on his shoulder is a little bit different. And then everybody else, it's kind of like, hey, we've been here for a while. Like we've been here for a while. We've been doing our thing. And we can do it just as good as anybody else. Like O-line, D-line, like Lewis in particular as well. You're talking about great athletes who have been great athletes who can definitely play the sport. They just didn't have an opportunity either in the States or at all to play. And James has done a really good job. James Cook has done a good job of every year. He kind of finds something to build upon from last year. So last year it was to be the most successful IPP class. We allocated 8 players. And then this year it was to be uncommon because last year the standard was already set. So how can we keep this growing? And then to be uncommon, right? We're already doing something uncommon, but then how can we be even more uncommon? The NFL is so hard to thrive in. And like I said, the foundation's already there. You got the athlete, you have the athletic mindset, which is being gritty, high stamina, aggressive on the field. But like, how can we be uncommon? And I think that's what has set this class apart.
I've seen a lot. I've seen that word used a few times in a lot of the publications and social media. So I completely understand when you say it. It's about how can we now be uncommon. Sticking with the theme of the NFL, I'm taking you back to your internship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because again, another amazing achievement. Talk to me about your time with the Bucs. What was that like for you?
I loved it. It was amazing. I got to be there for 4 months. And they're bringing me back for the Coaches Academy, which I'm really grateful for because they didn't have to do that. But Coach Bowles does a really good job of, there's a lot of things that he says in the press, how he handles himself that I loved. And then to get there and to see like he's the same as he is. He's so even keeled, consistent. I loved it. And he really made it a space where he's like, just go be a football coach. And that was the best environment, one of the best environments I've been around. Not saying anything against, where I've been or where I'm going to be, but it was a phenomenal environment. I could do my own thing. Like I got to run indie drills every day at practice by myself.
Pretty dope, man. That
is dope.
That's pretty sick.
Being in the meeting rooms, I got to do a little bit, part of a meeting one time as well. So like they really did kind of put me on the hot seat a bit to see, hey, are you paying attention? Can you coach? What are you doing? But I felt like I was developed and I was set up to really run my own room really well when I went back to the college that I was working at. But yeah, it was great. Something that like I always talk about, whether I'm in the NFL next year full time or in 5 years or 10 years time, they laid a foundation for me on, the kind of culture I want to be around, the kind of coach I want to be. And it was phenomenal.
that brings me to your time with, I believe is it Oberlin College? Is that how you pronounce it? The right
Yeah.
pronunciation? Oberlin College, where you obviously did some more great work again with the O-line. So I'm going to assume now that based on your previous work and your previous accomplishments, did that put you in good stead to then get in with the Oberlin College? How did that come about, and what was that like as well?
Yeah. That was interesting. So I actually got that right when IPP ended, but I had
Ah,
secured the Tampa Bay internship before I went to Oberlin.
right.
It was a good opportunity. Like getting an offensive line job is super hard.
Yeah.
And I miss it right now. I'm not with the O line right now, and I miss it a lot. Um, but it was good. It was kind of just an opportunity for me to prove that, hey, I have a solid progression. I can do indie drills. I know run scheme really well. I can get pass protection set. So it was just a really good way for me to just like finally prove that as the lead
Mhm.
O line coach. Because being a student assistant at Wisconsin, I'm not leading the meetings, but I took so many notes and I learned from a lot of good O line coaches at Wisconsin, whereas like it was a great opportunity to finally apply everything that I learned as my own coach.
A couple, yeah, and a couple things with the whole Wisconsin thing is I was trying to work out the timeline because again I know you did a number of different things.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor obviously was a Badger.
Yeah. Yeah. I was there when he
Was
was
he
there.
there when you were?
Yes.
Oh no way, no way! Like
Yeah.
okay, just some quick words. Bearing in mind your O line is you through and through. Jonathan
Yeah.
Taylor needs the O line, so I just want to know like what was your experience with him, if anything. Clearly, I'm a Colts fan. Clearly, I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Jonathan Taylor. I just have to hear some
Obviously, you
words about
played
the
running
guy.
back. How can you not? You played running
There
back.
you
You
go.
you totally get that. He was good. He was a great leader for the offense. I don't really have like a unique memory of just like me and JT, but what I do remember is he
Mhm.
made our job. Our O lineman worked hard, but he made our job easy.
Yeah.
Someone kept using the phrase like, "Oh, when JT was in the backfield, we could run into the darkness," meaning that
Ah.
you could give us the most loaded box ever. We were just gonna, we could figure out how to block it. Wisconsin's really good at blocking anything, but JT would always make us right, and we could run into an overloaded box and we'd be fine
hmm
because JT was so good. So those were
Crazy.
definitely golden years with JT around. Those were phenomenal
Yeah.
years, and he gave us a lot of good memories.
He's giving us good memories too. I had to get that one
So
in.
yeah,
Honestly, when I saw Wisconsin, I was like, there is no way I am
he
not going
yes,
to find out about
he had
JT.
crossover. He had
Yeah,
crossover.
there was.
The Rose Bowl was my first bowl game,
Uh,
and that was his last.
yeah, before he
Yeah,
obviously went on. Crazy, crazy stuff, man.
yeah,
But again, continuing your journey of success, coach, I want to ask you about your current role because obviously
yeah.
you have recently, taken a role with the Buckner Bisons, Div 1 football, which is amazing. Congratulations, by the way. What an
Thanks.
amazing achievement for you and very well deserved, I have to say.
Thank you.
Um, does that come in conjunction with I think you mentioned it earlier, so you've got the Tampa Bay Coaching Academy that you're also going back to. So
Yeah.
how will that work in terms of timescales? Is the academy something you can do on the side whilst you do the work with the Bisons?
Yeah, so the academy is going to be like a 1 week thing.
Okay.
So thank God they set it in May because that's recruiting for us. So we're going to be on the road anyways.
Yeah.
So when I'm on the road recruiting, I'll just take that week to go down. Coach Chick, he's really chill about everything. Our defensive coordinator, Coach Bowers, he's been very chill in regards to letting me go do these opportunities because they
hmm
know I am trying to, get a really solid college resume, but I'm also trying
Absolutely.
to get ready for the NFL. Like I'm in a place where they understand I'm trying to take my time
Yeah.
and make it undeniable that somebody needs to hire me in a few years with an NFL team.
Yeah.
So they've been very flexible with it and they'll be pretty solid. And then my
Which is
current
great.
role,
Mm.
yeah, no, it's phenomenal to have leaders like that because you're not going to always get that
hmm
in coaching
Yeah.
just because it's like, hey, we need you. But they've been flexible with letting me go do that. And then in my current role right now, it's kind of like positionless coaching. I'm mostly with the corners, but just kind of how our defense is set up. We have a few different things going on, but it's been great because I have my own indie. I have indie on special teams, and I'm learning something new, which is being around the defensive backs.
Yeah.
Going from O line coach to
Yeah.
DBs is very different, but I'm learning coverages inside and out. I'm learning, the defensive scheme a little bit, deeper. Jim Leonard's defense is different than Chris Bauer's defense, and that's good for me to have two different types of defenses that I've been
hmm
around and that I
Yeah.
know. So that's the exciting part about it.
It broadens your horizon, I suppose, right? And it gives
Yeah.
you exposure to different things. On that note, though, do you
Yeah.
have a favorite type of coverage? Not the specifically for the Bisons, but just general favorite kind of coverage that you like DB to run. Is there anything that stands out to you?
My favorite coverage. I don't even know if because I'm such an offensive minded person. I think about
Yeah,
my favorite coverage is like, what can I expose?
yeah.
I think coverage.
I love that. That's great. See, this is coach. You got the this is the coach's thinking right here. You're thinking of how can I expose this defense? That's how
Yeah,
you know.
cover three if I'm against a run heavy team,
Okay.
and then we're I mean, shoot, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, no,
I'm thinking, how can
it's
I
a bit,
expose it?
yeah, it's a curveball. It's a curveball. All right, how about this one?
That's
Back to the
good.
offensive side.
Yeah.
O lineman. Obviously, I heard
Mhm.
Harbaugh, who's obviously taken a role with the Chargers, described the O lineman as the most important position in football. Because they're the only position I believe that they just need to. Everybody else needs to rely on them for it to work.
Yeah.
So, having said that, what would you say is the most important skill or ability for an O lineman to have?
Feet. Feet. 100%. So when I recruit, I don't just focus on offensive linemen with basketball backgrounds,
Hmm.
but if you're a really good O lineman
Ah,
and you play basketball, I love you because
right.
the hand, feet, eye coordination, it's all there. But feet, especially my progression, feet start everything. If your feet don't move correctly, you're not going to be in the correct position to actually make a play. So like I always
Okay.
tell guys, you could be the strongest guy in the field, you could have the best hands, but if you're not where you need to be to use your hands or to use your strength, this play is going to blow up. So like athletic skill set, it's feet. And then, you do need guys that they communicate well and they are smart. You need in football smart. I'm not talking about book smart
Yeah.
because there's plenty of athletes. You don't have to be both. You don't have to be one, but like football smart for sure if you're going to be an O lineman.
Okay.
Like my expectations, especially at a high level, and did with the IPP guys too. My expectations never changed with them, even though they had different experiences.
Yeah.
Is tackles to the center need to know how to read coverages, recognize blitzes.
That's it.
You got to know who the corner is, who the safety is, who the nickel is, who the
I'm getting
dime is.
excited, man. I'm just listening to all of this. I just
Like
want
you
to
got
go.
to know.
I'm getting so excited. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
teach him
yeah,
body position of D lineman. If he's more square, he's probably going to shoot inside. Like he's giving himself both ways. If he's slanted, he's pretty much going to attack where he is. Like just little indicators, even down to, I've been around a team that we were game planning one time. It was the feet. If we got like a double mug out of a split front, the feet of the linebackers told us who was going to blitz and who was going to
yeah,
drop. So it's like just being able to process all that information and recognize on the field is really important
yeah,
because you could be a really good athlete, but if you can't pick up on that stuff quick enough, you might be you might react a little too slow for me when you're
yeah.
out there.
I remember reading about defensive linemen and linebackers as well. Stances. If they're heavy on their fingers, then it's likely they're going to come out and blitz. And if they're a bit more relaxed, it's likely they're going to come out in a pass pro or not going to blitz. So it's hearing you talk about those finer techniques. It's just honestly, to someone who loves football, it's great. It really is great. Um,
Yeah.
So, Coach, I've had people like Erin Roberts on the show, Laura Oakman on the show, Stacey Dales on the show, and the common theme we talk about is women in sports. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about your experience as a female in the world of sport because we can see it clearly male dominated, and we know that the numbers of women in the game are rising every year. Not as quick as I'd like it to be, but it's rising every year. There's a particular photo that I saw of you, and I believe it was at the NCAA NFL Academy,
Mm-hmm.
coaching academy. So the really, really powerful photo of you in this room, and it's a room full of men. And from what I could see, it looks like you're the lone female in that room at
Yeah.
this coach's academy. So my question to you, based on that, is: well, firstly, again, another amazing achievement that you've gone on to secure. What does
Thanks.
that feel when you reflect on that moment? I don't know if there were any other women in the room, but the fact that you're making these strides and you're a trendsetter, you're a tone setter, you're a trailblazer, people coming after you. How do you reflect on that? All the moves that you're making because you're doing amazing things.
Yeah. There was a few other women there, which was
Okay.
awesome. But I do remember like I was the because I had somebody reach out to me. I was writing a letter to a mentor of mine who actually helped me get the opportunity at Wisconsin, and somebody mentioned they're like, "Hey, like you were the first female coach in the Big Ten and at a Power Five school as a student assistant." I was like, "That's crazy to think about," because
Yeah.
I just thought at the end of the day, in like my own bubble at Wisconsin, like, oh, I didn't think much about it. I still kind of don't really. Um, it's I've always told people like I've always felt at home because I've played with men and I've coached with men for a very long time. And it's not to diminish, like there's definitely, some challenges with things, especially, trying to get jobs or just even trying to be taken seriously at the start of things. So you do definitely have to prove yourself a lot more. But my whole thing is like, if you give attention to the negative parts about it, that's all you're going to know. So I always try to, if this door shuts, move on to the next. And I've been lucky enough too, like there's been a lot of female football coaches who have come before me, particularly at the high school level. That's where I've been inspired. So Joan Catney's my friend, is now, he just got a college job.
Yeah.
Yes, she just got a college job. And she's been coaching for decades at the high school level. She played women's tackle football, which we didn't have a team in Wisconsin. Otherwise, that would have been cool. And then there was another one. I believe it's Doc Murphy. Lord have mercy if I did not get her name right. But John Perry was someone who I ran across, and he does a podcast as well. And he had a female coach, and that was her name. And her impact on him, I was like, she set the tone for all of us, really. She just showed up, did her thing, did her job, and, always focused on how can I be the best coach. And I thought that was awesome.
I'm going to bring you back slightly to coaches. I don't want to mispronounce her name. Catanese, is that right?
Catanese, yeah, you're Catanese.
Good. Because from what I'd seen, and again, hearing you speak about her so highly, I think it's fair to say she's someone who had a big impact on you and your career. Just a few more words, if you could, on coach.
Yeah, like somebody who I truly believe did it the right way and dedicated. And what I mean by the right way is showed up every day, didn't label herself or ask people to label her as a female football coach, but it was just, I'm a football coach. She comes from a long, long time of playing tackle football. Her passion for football is definitely unmatched. Her work ethic is unmatched. And she did such a good enough job that how she got the job at the college that she's now at is because her reputation preceded her with somebody in the area who went to that college who said, hey, I need to hire her as my tight ends coach.
Amazing.
And that's how this business is. Your reputation as a coach is what should get you hired. And your resume is what should get you hired. And she's done a Bill Walsh Fellowship with the Falcons. She nailed it. She got a whole lot of experience from that. And she's just somebody who she gets respect from her players because of what she knows and how she coaches. So yeah, amazing. She's a role model. She's someone who deserves a lot more recognition for what she gets, even though she's going to say, no, I don't. But it's, no, you do, because she's been here coaching football for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very long time.
Big up Coach Catanese. I had to get that one in there because I knew that you guys had a good relationship and how she impacted you too. But Coach, before we do wrap up, a couple more things. If you could, it might be a bit hard for you to do because you've again done so much, but what would you say has been a highlight for you to date in your career?
Up till today, like what a highlight's been? NFL IPP. That's being with the International Player Program. I can't explain it to people, like, and I think the biggest thing was Chew, and I know I'm gonna have so many other stories, like with Byron and with George, Travis, Sam, seeing what happens with them. I might have another great story, but Chew in particular is like the highlight from the program so far, because I remember our first week, we spent a week, me and him, it was every night after dinner, and we'd work on stance and we'd work on the first step coming out of our stance based on the play that we were running. And he kept looking at me. He's like, I'm stressed out. Like, you could tell he was stressed. And I remember I was like, you're going to be fine, because talking to him initially, his mentality, I was like, this is an NFL player just by the mindset alone. And I said, you're going to make an NFL team. And when you do, you're going to win a Super Bowl. And that was week one. So to see him go. Yeah, that was week one. I told him that. I said, I promise you, I'm going to get there. I said, I'm not going to let you fail. You're going to make it. I mean, I couldn't have guaranteed that. I was like, why did I say that to him? But I believed it. I believed it because of his mindset and his attention to detail and his work ethic. I was like, there's no way a team will not pick him up, let alone these characteristics. It's so hard to win a Super Bowl, but I was like, I got a feeling about this one. So it was great. He's been my highlight so far, to watch him grow, to watch him do phenomenal in his preseason games. He was perfect with all 49 pass reps that he had because he's got good feet, good hands, and good eyes because he played basketball. So
there you go.
And then to now see him, win a Super Bowl, and I'm like, look at my guy go. He's the sky's the limit with that one. So
incredible.
Very proud of him.
Incredible. And again, before we wrap up, my last question for you is, again, obviously you are a trailblazer. You are doing amazing work. There will be many people, women in particular, who are looking up to you, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Who are aspiring to follow your path, your journey, breaking down doors and opening up opportunities. So for anyone, who's up and coming, women in sport who are looking at you as an idol and wanting to follow in your footsteps, what words of advice do you have for them?
Someone asked me this one time, and literally the first thing that came out of my mouth was buckle up. It's tough. But what I mean by that, and maybe I can expand more, because there's a lot behind the phrase, like, buckle up sometimes. I'm always like, listen, buckle up, and just realize, like, it is going to be hard, but if you are truly in it for the right reasons, and you find your purpose in life, and you find your passion in life, and this is for anybody, don't ever take no for an answer. I told the players this too, like, what you're going into, the IPP players in particular, you're going into the NFL. It is no secret how cutthroat it can be. And it is a chaotic business to be a part of. Doesn't make it bad, doesn't make it good either. No statement there. But, find your passion, find your purpose, and don't take no for an answer, and just keep going. At the end of the day, you really got to believe in yourself and not put too much weight behind what other people see, because there's not going to be a whole lot of people that are going to be in your corner right away. There'll be a few, but you really got to draw, again, to the passion and the purpose that you believe that you have in this life. And that's going to get you through, and that's going to let you do what you love to do. I don't know how inspiring or exciting that sounds, but like, that's
real
what
life,
I've reflected on. Like, what I've reflected on is, like, if you tap into that, you can make it through the worst days of your life. And I mean, for me, I always have a great day. Anytime I go home, I'm like, I just did what I love to do, and that's coach football.
Amazing word of advice. And again, you're reflecting on what you've done, so it doesn't get any better than that. Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure. You continue to go from strength to strength, and I'm all the way here for it. And I will say this, not if, when you are hired full-time in the NFL. Literally, I've literally got it written down right here. When you are hired, honestly, no word of a lie, when you are hired by the NFL full-time, I will be right here waiting to have you back on the show so we can talk about that too. So
you'll be my first guy. The first one I hit
100%,
up.
100%. I'm on market right now. We've got it.
Thank you for sticking with that dream.
It's absolutely been an honor to have you on the show. Coach Ash here, now with Buckner Bisons, with a ton of experience doing great things in the game. And until next time, I've been George from Georgeonsports here with Coach Ash, and we'll see you on the next episode.